So here's the question. Why don't most New Yorkers own a car?
I have a moped. It's fun.
I just ride a bike.
I ride this.
So Sam, why don't you own a car?
Because I live in New York.
This little town.
So in this video, we are gonna find out why the majority of most New Yorkers do not own a car. Let's start with the facts. New York is crowded. There are 27,000 people per square mile in New York City, making it one of the most densely populated cities on Earth. For perspective, about 1 in every 38 people living in the United States lives in New York. With that said, driving in the city, it can be stressful, and you can't get any work done driving a car. In a place like New York, time is money. Nationally, 86% drive to work, compared with only 28% of New Yorkers that drive to work. Cars are expensive to own in the city. Insurance costs are through the roof. Are there even gas stations in Manhattan? How many gas stations are in Manhattan? 50. This is one of the 50 gas stations in Manhattan. I'm not quite sure the national average price of gas because I haven't had a car in over 10 years, but it's a pretty safe bet that this is probably far more than the price that you're paying wherever you're watching this from. So now your car is all fueled up. The next question, where do you park it? Long-term parking in the city is some of the most expensive in the world, while on the other hand, street parking is a pain in the ass with changing rules. Tickets, they're inevitable. Most likely your car will get ruined, unless you're parking your sports car on a rooftop overlooking Midtown. Kidding, this isn't my car. So what do you do instead? There's plenty of ways to get around this great city that don't require you to own a car. So the first is obviously a taxi. They are everywhere. But during morning rush hour, even a New York City taxi can be hard to come by. You're better off just walking. About 10% of New Yorkers walk to work. If you're lucky enough to live in walking distance to your office, nothing beats leaving your apartment and hitting the pavement. Just because you're walking doesn't mean you're immune to the traffic. With over 300,000 pedestrians passing through Times Square daily, you're definitely gonna get up and close with a few strangers on your commute to work. Hello. The subway is by far the most popular choice when it comes to getting around New York, with 55% of all commuters in the city using public transportation. The New York subway system, it may be old, but it's one of the most reliable in the entire world, with over 840 miles of subway tracks. Now, in my opinion, biking is the fastest way to get around the city, but only 1% of New Yorkers commute via bike, and there's a few reasons for that low number. The city isn't exactly biker friendly. There are bike lanes, but they are usually more dangerous than the actual road. For a bit of a more in-depth look at why bike lanes aren't necessarily the safest, go check out Casey Neistat's viral video titled Bike Lanes. I think that was made in 2012, so now 6 years later, and the bike lane problem, well, it really hasn't changed much. Another way to get around the city is by using rideshare apps like Uber, Lyft, and a new one called Juno, which in my opinion are the most convenient and stress-free ways to get around the city. You just walked out of that Broadway show, or you're in a crowded area like Times Square, it can be difficult for your driver to find you. Some of these apps have features where you can have your phone light up a certain color, and the driver is notified to what color you have, so you're easy to spot in a crowd. The only real drawback to rideshare apps is the price surge. During rush hour, the surge can sometimes be triple the actual cost of the ride. Living in New York City can be challenging, it can be stressful, and of course expensive, but for every problem, there's always a solution. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe for more high quality New York City content, and with that, I will see you in the next one.